From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Monday. I do hope you enjoyed our spring-like weekend. Could you believe it? The weather was unbelievable. And this morning, all this rain and the wind is really what, kind of even just walking from the car to the station this morning, it's just a lot of extra heavy-duty hairspray on this morning.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us. And if you're home and watching, I appreciate it. Give us a call if you want. This morning, the topic of conversation is going to be elder law. Our regular guest, of course, the expert on this. One of the nation's foremost experts, because he's always traveling to these conferences that sound really cool and sharing his expertise, which he's going to share with you this morning. Is Tim Takis, elder law attorney.
Good morning, Nick. Great.
I don't think I'm being overly generous in saying that you are one of the foremost experts on elder law in the country. You're not going to brag on yourself,
okay.
I know.
You may be right.
But it's the truth, in part because you saw this being a niche in this legal business years ago, and obviously it's grown as the baby boomers age. And it's something that really is a very big part of people's...
Absolutely, and I will brag on myself a little bit. It's year end. I guess I can do that one time.
That's why I brought it up.
Sure, and I appreciate that. I've been doing elder law since about 1991 or 1992.
Back then, people were like, "What, Tim?"
Exactly, and people go, elder. I've had people come to my office looking for Mr. Elder. It's like, well, Mr. Elder here. It's like, well,
He's like, no, not Mr. Elder.
And then I have people that call me and say, well, I'm 85 years old and I'm getting a divorce, and they think that I represent, I do divorces for older people, and and I certainly just I refer people to say, look, that's really not the type of law that I practice, but I always emphasize, certainly, on this show here that anybody that calls, they watch the show and they say, well, I think my mother needs something, or my mother is, I have people that call me that say, well, my parents are in Michigan or whatever, and and I know lawyers in all over the country, and that's a nice thing, doing it for as long as I have, going to professional conferences all over the country, having a chance to speak. I think many of the viewers know I've written a couple of books on elder law, one on the elder law in Tennessee, as well as a guide to elder law practice, which is used throughout.
Do the laws vary that? Well, I guess before I let you answer that,
that is a good question.
If you would, just for folks, again, remind them, elder law deals with the realm of what? Setting things up for later in life, things that you need to deal with then, as opposed to when you're younger.
And the way I kind of like to think about it is that as people get older, they have their legal problems change because they're usually typically retired. Often they have chronic illnesses, that they develop or beset them, and so they have to go, okay, how do I plan for this?
Sure.
They're dealing with estate planning issues because, okay, I'm not going to live forever. And a lot of our older clients have children who have disabilities or special needs, so they have to plan for them.
Sure.
Which is really sort of a new thing. Back in the 20, 25 years ago, that was really just sort of a blip on the radar screen as far as elder law, and now it's a major issue for our clients, and our families are going, well, my brother has been living with daddy and mommy and daddy for 60 years. He's had Down syndrome, and and the parents worry about that, and how's my son going to be taken care of, and all those sorts of issues that come up, which really were not major issues 25 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, when you say that, because there weren't as many people getting to the retirement age as they are now, or why were they not major issues then and they are now?
Well, certainly, like children with special needs, frankly, a lot of them did not live as long as they do now.
Okay, and it's so interesting you would bring that point up. I don't want to get too off base, and we'll start taking your phone calls, and I see some coming in right now, but I actually have a good friend whose brother and sister-in-law have a child that is developmentally disabled in a large manner, going to have trouble the rest of his life. And they're already worried about what's going to be done with him when they're gone.
Right.
He doesn't have any siblings. They didn't have any other children. There are other family members, but they're older like them too.
Sure.
This individual's younger, and he can't really live on his own.
Right.
And it's a just thinking about that. He's going to need the care, and they will as long as they can. But when they're gone, then what?
Right, and they also have to, exactly. And so part of it then is it's all right. Often what I say when we do in our practices is, this is, you mentioned that, I go around the country and do stuff because I develop a model of practice which, helps people address these issues. It's like sometimes we're building support systems for older clients because they're going, okay, I'm trying to take care of my husband, and my children are out of town, or I can't really rely on them, or I don't want to rely on them because I want to be there. So how do we build a support system for them? So it's the same thing for your friend. It's like, how are we going to build a support system, in the future for that special needs child? And frankly, what do we do if, let's say, the parents become disabled or incapacitated, and at the same time they're trying to take care of a special needs child?
These kind of problems that some families deal with are just overwhelming. And that's why people like you
the stuff of what we do
are crucial, because you wouldn't know where to start. Because not only that, you have to have someone in place to supervise it, someone you can trust that is not going to raid whatever fund you leave behind for the child, and that everything's legal. One other thing I wanted to say is, certainly, would you agree, this time of year, if you're considering some of the things you're talking about, it's the holidays. So this is a chance where a lot of family gets together. And that's an issue for me. I have my parents in Oregon. I don't always see them. But maybe now, not that you want to bring it up at the Christmas dinner, but this is a chance you could broach with your parents or someone else about, hey, what do we have in place down the road for you? And I'm just saying, this is an opportunity during the holidays sometimes for people to bring it up, don't you think?
Exactly. And, and one of the things that we talk, and this is something that when we do, I called elder law not too long ago. I was talking to some lawyers, and I said elder law is the estate planning of the 21st century. So when we think about elder law, of what we do is that we certainly for like you're talking about that situation where the children are getting together with mom and dad, and mom and dad getting is start having conversations, and those are conversations that are difficult to have because children or parents are going, oh, you're being nosy. You're trying to interfere, intervene. And all you're basically saying is get your stuff together, and put it in the, put it someplace, and if you drop dead, or if I walk into the house and you're, face down on the kitchen floor, and I'm calling 911, I know what drawer to go to. To go get the stuff.
Well, and that's part of it.
You've had that. We've had that conversation before.
Well, it's got to be a rude awakening for some kids when they come back, if they haven't seen their folks for a period of months or maybe a year. Sometimes it's once a year. Not that they're not calling them every week, but you see them in person, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, they have slipped a lot more than I suspected. And I'm talking about just natural slippage that anyone has as they get older. Their memory slips a little bit. Physically, they can't. But you don't realize it till you see them, and then it's the whole trick. And he specializes in this, and he's helped me with this actually, of dealing with parents sometimes when they're not really ready to ask for help because it's not their way, and you have to find a way to do it gracefully and allow them to still maintain control without feeling as though they're becoming a burden.
Exactly, right. And so they want, their independence, their autonomy.
It's very, very hard sometimes, depending on those involved.
Right.
Well, keep that. Okay, so the end of year stuff we can talk about. Again, we can talk to you, Tim, about powers of attorney. We can talk to you about, the idea of someone, if they want to consider a reverse mortgage, things like that.
Yeah, we talk about wills, setting up a trust maybe to help plan for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, all those sorts of things. Having a trust in place.
Any other end-of-year things I just wanted you to throw out, maybe that you're dealing with some of your clients that maybe will ring a bell with our
one of the
viewers?
things that of course, we just are at the end of the open enrollment closed, and then there's going to be an open enrollment again for managed care organizations. So there's some of those things that are coming up, and those are, so everybody needs to keep those sorts of things on their radar screen as well.
Yeah, okay.
I often, encourage people right around now to think about, do they need to start taking distributions from their retirement plans, like their IRAs?
Meaning start drawing on it.
Yeah. Well, not only drawing on it, but sometimes people are taking a minimum distribution, which the bank, their plan administrator says, well, you got to take this amount. That's the minimum. Well, a lot of people can take more, and maybe perhaps should take more out, because they take more out, and they may not have to pay taxes on it.
Okay. Oh. Well, I thought when you take it out, you do pay taxes.
You do, but that's if you're in a tax, if you have enough income.
Yeah, and so that's the whole point.
Exactly. You have to look at what income you have, because some people, I can't take any more out of my IRA. It's like, well, why not? He takes a little bit more out, so it's not taxable.
Do you counsel them also? Because that's kind of the trick, is knowing, and I wonder about this when I retire, and hopefully that's years from now, but when I do, and I have maybe some, I'm not going to have a ton of money, but I'll have a 401k, a few funds and things like this. I want to know how much I can pull out of it and hopefully still have enough to live on. Because here's my thing, and this is what I hope happens with my parents. I don't want nor do I expect anything from them. I just don't care. Take it and go. If I could have it to my very last breath, I spend my last cent, I'd be a happy clam. My son knows it. He doesn't care. He's going to make his own way. But I'm just saying, how do you know? Because I want to be spending. I don't want to just spend and stay home. I want to be able maybe to travel a little bit. You know?
Now, and maybe that's a conversation that you have with your parents. Now, and maybe the conversation that you have is the kind of along the lines of, talking about what you would like to see for your children. And maybe that's your conversation starter with your parents. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and say, this is what I'm thinking. Well,
here's what, Dad, Mom and Dad, I'm thinking about, I'm starting to have conversations with, the children about, my children about this. Well, what do you think? So it's like you're thinking about planning for yourself,
me, and then you can see where they're at.
See what their thinking is.
Strategies are so crucial, and you don't know it unless you think or talk to someone like you. Listen, we'll take a break on that. When we come back, we've got some calls coming in. The number 737-7587. Call in. You heard some of the topics here. If you have questions, comments, maybe some way to prepare yourself for what you're going to say when everyone's around during the holidays, get them off to the side a bit and discuss some of these things. These are your chances to do it. And Tim's with us this morning. This is free legal advice. That's the way to go. Lawyers like him aren't cheap, but they're good, and they do a great job.
Never cheap.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Cheap is the wrong word. Inexpensive.
My word here is you get what you pay for. Listen, we'll take a break. We'll be back. You're not paying for anything this morning. Tim will take your calls right after this. Stay with us.